It's not often I'm contacted to assist in the promotion of a theatrical piece. The more the merrier, by the way. So when I was presented with the challenge of doing so within a matter of days, I was particularly intrigued. Omish Njash, an artist of many talents, having created a story based on Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, with a decidedly Nairobian twist, is eager to spread the word. Infusing the classic tale with Luo, Shen and Kikuyu, the native sounds are wonderfully rich and have their own artistic style and depth, and you get a flavour of all those sounds right here. Thank you, Omish, for reaching out. Two on a mic, clocking out. Enjoy.
Dung weche pek kod welo mabiro etu under mic. Dung parodit kod jok mawuoye etu under mic. Seche tin sud buta wawinji etu under mic. Wola wachokre, wabed piny, biwawinje, ero chako, dung omit ndi, podcast makende.
Yeah, I'm delighted to say that I'm joined by the artist Omish Njash. Omish, this is a great surprise for me because this came completely out of the blue, but I'm no less excited than normal for that purpose. Yeah, how you doing?
I'm all right. I'm having an interesting start to 2024.
Okay. Go on. You're going to have to expand on that a bit.
To get my, well, as you can see, as you're talking about the unexpected part, I'm trying to start my artistic engine for the year moving with some momentum. So that's how come I took the initiative to propose this particular collaboration. So that's where your surprise originated from. It's from a point of artistic need.
Yeah, which I'm, as I've always said to you, I'm so happy to play the role as vehicle to your artistic work and the talents that you have to bring them out and present them.
Yeah.
But this one is quite time sensitive, isn't it?
And also romantic.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, which is also quite an interesting topic because the last time we spoke, you said to me that I should go into trying to identify different kinds of African storytelling. And so I watched some African series. And what I noticed in the two different series that I watched, romance plays an extremely important role in almost all of the storytelling, I suppose, shows that I saw. And here we go again, obviously, very much it's the inspiration to this particular episode as well.
And not just in my case as a person, the theme of romance is even more intensified because I happen to make my art in the Luo language. And in Kenya, the Luo have a reputation for being the most romantic of Kenya's people, which kind of raises the bar.
Oh, wow.
So it raises the bar when you're trying to tell a romantic story in using the Luo language in any way, because the best romantic music is sung in Luo, and the best supposedly the most romantic men are ourselves. So imagine from that particular space wanting to tell a romantic story. The bar is already quite high.
Okay. Now I'm looking forward to it even more here, Omish. But look, that's fascinating as well, because obviously I was born and I grew up in Europe, and so therefore when we talk about sort of romantic nationalities, people in Europe at least tend to emphasize the French and the Italians. And again, it's just wonderful insight also to become aware of how in different African nations there are these elements and characteristics which come up naturally through the people as well. So it's always great to understand that these similarities, which really should be emphasized, that bring people together. But yeah, I've talked too much. I really want to hear a lot more about your project. Do you want to just tell us what it is and what things we should look forward to here?
Yeah, so the title is Omera and Juliet, and Omera and Juliet just happens to be a kind of innovative attempt. I'm trying to create something a little bit new, or something I've never tried creating before. I'd like to put a blend of storytelling, theater, and the Luo hip hop music into a production. And that's what Omera and Juliet is eventually going to be. And so, partly because I think it's a bit of a new concept, I was interested in having this conversation with you to have a chance to kind of describe it to people, so that when I tell them, hey, I'm selling a ticket, I don't start describing it then. I feel like, yeah, it's like the way you have to break the ground before you proceed to farm. So yeah, I feel like I needed to break the ground in some way.
Fantastic.
So that's what Omera and Juliet is. And hopefully also by the end of this particular little session, you will have gotten a little bit of an idea of how it will sound and feel.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. And we're also going to try something quite new in the way that we present the music, are we not?
Yes, a little bit of live performance.
A live performance on a podcast stretching thousands of kilometers. And yeah, I'm really hopeful that with the interruptions that we may have over that distance, internet-wise, it's not going to cause too much chaos with regards to the beat. But I mean, these are the challenges that we have to face. So therefore, let's.
But Zach,
yeah, yes,
you have to have some equanimity is called for.
yeah.
I feel like even if we have a glitch or two, it sort of situates a glitch or two because of imagine if we don't have a glitch and nobody understands the distance across which it happened. So a glitch or two might add historical density to it later on. I don't know. Understand?
I love your turn of phrase, Alexander. What can I say?
I consider myself a fan of Walter Benjamin, who talks about history a lot. So yeah, I kind of have that perspective of time. If you want to have equanimity in life, you have to have that.
Yep, fantastic. Fantastic. Okay. All right. So do you wanna introduce this next piece before we jump into this historical distant musical event?
No. The one I'd like to start with is the complete one.
Okay. Yeah. Go for it then.
It's Romeo and Juliet. So that one was actually created as a song I was trying to explain my idea to two of my friends who are also musicians, and maybe I'd like to introduce them. The first one is a very interesting gentleman called Luo Baba, who's probably one of the only other people I know other than myself who's as dedicated to the language. And the second collaborator his name is Larry Dwayne, and he calls himself a shrapper, which is like Sheng rap, and Sheng is a different language, a pidgin of an urban pidgin that we use in Nairobi and other urban areas in Kenya. So you could say that even though we are all going to be operating with the Luo and English, there's a lot of influences you'll hear and languages playing. Kenyan music tends to be very multilingual, so I don't want to talk too much about it. It is the song that I am, how would you say, releasing today as a Valentine's gift to all the people I would like to invite to come and watch the show, Romeo and Juliet. So I think that's introduction enough.
Oh, yeah.
Chalnari. Yeah.
Wherefore art thou, Omish Njash?
Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
Watch out, Romeo and Juliet. Hey, he named me Queer, some of them delay. He tried to vibe to I made it take. Took my own good love. Watch out, Romeo get Juliet. Babe, he named me Queer, some of them delay. He tried to vibe to I made it take. Jerk my own good love, open your relay. Watch out, Romeo get Juliet. Babe, he named me Queen, so my dandelion. He try to vibe to I made it take. Jerk my own good love, open your relay.
Yeah, vibes on vibes. I swear you are one of a kind. You speak my mind. We are intertwined, yeah. You fine like wine. And girl, you're so mature. To love you si mimi niko sure. Namwambia daily ni yeye. Kwa alternate mama na yeye. Yeah, tunafunga ndoa. Life tunaishi poa. Life la vida loca. Treat you just like I'm supposed to. Ajini wena kupost to. Give me more, baby, got me.
Watch out,
feeling
Romeo get Juliet. Babe, he named me Queer, some of dandelion. He tried to vibe to I made it take. Jerk my own good love, open your relay. Watch out, Romeo get Juliet. Babe, he named me Queen, some of dandelion. He tried to vibe to I made it take. Jerk my own good love, open your relay.
Weche hera tinde complicated. Johera ngeny ma manipulated. My attraction for you pod understated. Kawuotho bangi view pod underrated. Sama wabet ka wa conversate. Ilwaro points pacha I elevate. Seche moko kaduogo home late. Ine mi chwada kiss sama donje gate. Ni weche ni mamit opongo simba inbox. Hera ni addictive oromo tera detox. Body hero Omish Njash kataran gi hip hop. Jabero ngeyo crip walk. Luo rap wa beatbox.
Watch out, Romeo get Juliet. Babe, he named me Queer, some of dandelion. He tried to vibe to I made it take. Jerk my own good love, open your relay. Watch out, Romeo get Juliet. Babe, he named me Queen, some of dandelion. He tried to vibe to I made it take. Jerk my own good love, open your relay.
Omera gi Juliet. Coming soon to a theater near you. Don't miss it.
Is, for a start, Shakespeare quite well liked, shall we say, in Kenya or the Nairobi artistic scene?
Shakespeare has the problem of being a classic. And classics have the problem of people wanting to associate with them because they are classic. So Shakespeare, even if he isn't well liked, he is known. And personally, I don't mind if he is badly known. I wouldn't mind if the only knowledge people get of Shakespeare is my interpretation. In fact, I would actually prefer that outcome. But they will know they should know Shakespeare, which I'm counting on. Most people who've been through the education system beyond secondaries, beyond high school, they know Shakespeare, and they have probably it's the kind of thing that if you're a person who reads poetry and it will be mentioned. I don't think that it's taught that much, especially in terms of criticizing the literature of it. I don't think it's taught that deeply in Kenya. But the Shakespeare is known, and then there's multiple stations that have, I think plays have been done that are adaptations of Shakespeare already. So within the theater audiences, Shakespeare has already been experienced. But of course, I have completely changed the landscape within my story. Honestly speaking, Shakespeare is just a name by which I wish to call attention to something I have created. You could say that I have taken Shakespeare, the shell of his story, and completely filled it with my own feeling, and especially a feeling that makes Eastlands, Nairobi, the place where the story comes from.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't ask anybody to come and judge Omera and Juliet based on how faithful it has been to Shakespeare. That would be a disaster. I would ask them to come with an open mind and to experience something that has come out of a very specific period of my art journey.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing an interpretation of Shakespeare in Luo, because I can only imagine it to be extremely lively. Yeah.
I'd say this, yeah. When I tell the story, how the languages are gonna play out is likely I will narrate in Sheng. And Sheng is because within Nairobi itself, my audience will be multilingual, and the languages that most people have in common are Swahili and English. Sheng is a mixture of those two. So Sheng manages to grab a large, and also it's the informal language of business. So everybody has had to learn it for their own purposes. And it's the language, it's a language with which I leave out nobody, except those who wish to be left out, or those who exclude themselves. But the narration will be in Sheng, the music will be in Luo mostly, because I personally make music mostly in the Luo language. So the music will mostly be in Luo, the narration will mostly be in Sheng, and I might have a limited cast with me on stage. And this limited cast, depending on which characters they are and which setting of the play they're in, they'll either speak Luo, Sheng, Kikuyu, or English. So like I told you, it's going to be in the nature of Kenyan performances of theater, a very multilingual performance.
Fantastic. It's extremely rich. Just the fact that you are infusing so many different sort of languages and dialects, I guess, in some ways.
Yeah.
Which makes it particularly, I think, quite intense. But yeah, go on, please. I'm excited to hear some of what you're going to you play for us, at least today. Well,
would you?
Yeah, I was hoping you'd do a bit of your performance with Jabamoro,
yeah?
if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and then we'll hear some of your narrative. Yep.
All right. Which Jabamoro it is? Since you're going to kind of just be waiting for me to start, I'm the one who will borrow from film and say, clap my hand, and then I'll begin. They wouldn't have allowed it. Both our families would have killed it. They couldn't accept it. This Luo made their Kikuyu daughter lovesick. We are doing it in secret. Don't have time for the regret. And now they must live with it. I proposed and my baby accepted. They didn't understand it. All our friends reacted with laughter. We ain't gonna sweat it. We're gonna let them come around after. And if they don't respect it, they're gonna have to hit us up later. If only they'd felt it, they'd know it's gonna last forever after. I take you to be my wedded wife. I'll share with you every piece of my life, through fame, famine, fortune, and strife, till death take us with a sharp, quick knife. Jaber moro nye kambika, techunya gombe. Pushed to the limit, we took the jump. Back to the wall, you're my number one. They thought we were done, but we've just begun. Now you're a wife and I'm a family man. Early in the morning, we take the vow. We're gonna be together, we don't care how. Done with the past. I love you now. Be my Juliet. Let me be your Romeo. We've decided on this and we'll seal it with a kiss. Everyone warned us, but deaf are loving ears. Decided on peace, hates a cruel disease. Till death do us part of life, bring us to our knees. Jogi gombo nega, kecha hero Juliet na. Gidwa hinyanya kadenda, kikabeti Juliet. Oh Juliet, a Julinya Rokuyu. Oh Juliet, a Julinya Rokuyu. Gambika, tachunya gombe, abeb moroni ebomaka, tobendo geta, oh kedi, kedi, oh kedi, kedi, eroka, abeb moroni ekambika, tachunya gombe, abeb moroni ebomaka, tobendo geta. All right, so that's the two verses of Jaber Moro.
Cool.
You still there?
Yes, I am indeed. Yeah.
So that's the two verses. Although, so I'm gonna send you the main song, and maybe you can splice there's a chorus part that I left out.
Yeah.
Because I didn't time it very correct. Yeah. But the two verses are complete. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So I don't know. You want me to read the passage?
Yeah.
From
the first narrative that you wanted to read, I think you were thinking about doing two. I mean, it's up to you, but yeah, please, I'd love to hear it.
So it's an interesting that particular song. The part of the story it comes from is they've decided to go and have this illicit wedding. Nairobi has a lot of little churches that are just operating out of one corrugated iron shack room in the back of a motel, or these places where there's been a lot of pastors that have taken liberties with the position of being preachers in this small religious. I think the government allows it because it's a form of employment, really. But yeah, so I'd say they've gone to one such place, a place that is a suspicious church, to have their illicit wedding. And the reason they've done this is because they think if they do this, then Juliet's parents won't be able to make her marry the son of a rich politician that they're trying to impress. So that's where that song comes from within the story. Of course, in the Kenyan context, Shakespeare had the Montagues being enemies with the Capulets, and that being the primary reason why the two lovers were so conflicted about their love for each other. In my case, I've kind of amplified a tribal issue that exists between the most romantic Kenyans, us Luos, and this is just the cliches I'm going with, the most business-like ones, which is the Kikuyus. And so it's a clash of character as well as I don't know, it's a very interesting thing because these two people sometimes even seem to be defining themselves against each other. Like the cliches seem to be driving in opposite directions. If they are the romantic ones, we shall be the unromantic business-like ones, and vice versa, you see?
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's a very interesting conflict that has just existed. It boils underneath the surface of Kenyan social life quietly. Parents advise daughters not to marry from the other side, and some parents, if you're a son and you show up with a lady from the other side, the girls from your side are requested to treat you as a single person.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, there's just all these little things that are always in the undercurrent, and you hear them in people's individual experiences, you know. So I decided to make that the central conflict between these two families. So I'll narrate a little bit from the famous balcony scene. How about that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Which is what the cover art will be as well, because you sent this fantastic
you
illustration.
saw that.
I love it. It's amazing. Please remember to make a note for me of who the artist is for that, because
Yes,
it's
the artist is a lady called Chebet. And actually, she's still a student at University of Nairobi. So I'm hoping to be able to work with her on the rest of the artwork for the show.
It's fantastic.
This was one of the earlier samples she sent. It has a lot of character.
It definitely has character, and yeah, I mean, if she's got a social media profile, or if she's got perhaps a site or something which promotes some of her work or something, then please let me add that as well, with her permission, of course, because yeah, it's looks really good. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Sorry. Yes, your narrative. Your narrative. Yeah.
Yeah. So, for the part of the audience that isn't Kenyan, Juliet's surname, you know, is Njuguna, which is a very typical Kikuyu surname, while Romeo's surname is Obalandagwa, which is a very complicated Luo name. So, like, Kenyans would instantly be able to recognize the way I have contrasted the names, but for audiences that aren't Kenyan, I just wanted to say you can replace Montague and Capulet with Njuguna and Obalandagwa. So Njuguna's house and Njuguna, they are rich by Kenyan standards, but you know, since they are still a family in Eastlands, it probably means they aren't that rich. You know, Eastlands is the place in Nairobi where people, unless you're dedicated to money, yeah, you start in Eastlands and then you move up. So, in fact, you know what? Maybe they are very rich. They are definitely very well connected. The Njuguna family, Juliet's family. On the other hand, Romeo's family is the upstart, what you might call new money. And because they're Luos, they've sort of made that money out of ego and charisma, and there's a little bit of that in the character of the families. Yeah. So it's night, and Juliet is at her dad's house. Her room is on a first floor, and they live. Eastlands has a lot of these places where your balcony overlooks a pretty thoroughly used road. You could literally, you know, drop a clothes peg over the balcony and it might end up in traffic. So this is not the kind of balcony scene that you might want to think of in the Victorian sense. This is an Eastlands balcony. Matatus occasionally pass by. It's right by the roadside. There's a drunkard walking by on the other side. And what Romeo has done is that he's come from a party where he met Juliet, and he's asked around quietly, and he's been told exactly which of the houses is Juliet's. And he's kind of walking by. He doesn't really know what's going to happen. He's just walking by, walking slowly, trying to hope that he will get a glimpse of the person he has fallen in love with at the party, when she actually opens her bedroom door and comes out on the balcony. Nairobi balconies are laundry balconies, so there's clothes hanging in rows from the top of the balcony, and she's out looking for something to change into. Like she comes out, grabs something, goes back inside, and when she comes out again, she's wearing what she just took. But the reason why she wanted to wear it is because, like every young savvy Nairobi girl now, she has an Instagram channel, and she would like to post something. So she lifts her phone up towards the sky, points it at herself, and of course behind her is the road below where traffic is passing and where she doesn't know, but Romeo is walking along. Romeo hasn't seen her yet. But yeah, so she's just like, guys, something happened today that I don't know how to process yet. I posted some photos from the talent show earlier. I don't want to go into the details, but I really need advice, guys. You know the way dads and moms sometimes say, usinilete mjaluo hapa, or such things about possible boyfriends. What would you do if you fell in love with the worst possible choice in your parents' eyes? Like the worst enemy that you're not supposed to love. What would you do? Would you deny your own dad or your own lover? Would you ask your lover to change his name, or would you change yours? Ebu Kenyan girls, tell me, what would you do? So that's her up on the balcony posting on Instagram. And guess what? Romeo just happens to look up at this moment, and his heart catches in his throat because he's like, oh, hang on a minute. Could it be? And he starts to hasten his steps. And he's being careful because the other thing that happens in Eastlands is if you're looking too keenly over the fence at someone's home, somebody might shout thief. So he's looking around furtively, trying to not look like a thief, but he really wants to get under the balcony and get Juliet's attention. Of course, Juliet is still going on Instagram. Sometimes it's, imagine a name like Otieno, alafu at you are Njuguna. Imagine just going to tell your dad that you're going to drop his Njuguna to be Otieno. How do you feel? What's in a name? Seriously, guys, I'm in a fix. And you know what? Romeo doesn't let her finish. He jumps out. He's like, Ju, acha nimi ndo nitachange yangu. And because he's jumped out kind of into view, she can see him on her mobile phone on the road behind her. So she turns, and she also, you know how the phones have that button with which you flip the camera forward, and now there he's on her Instagram live, and he's like, yo, ni mimi, nitachange jina yangu ka unadai, which is shame for, I'm going to change my name if you want. And of course she can't believe it, but you know what she says? She says, Kai, toka huko chini utapatwa, enda home, get out of there, go home. Then somebody's gonna call you a thief, you know. I want to end it there because I don't want to give up too much of the story. And also, I'd like to tantalize a little bit with the possibilities of what that might sound like with actors on stage. Right now, it's just a script, but yeah, it's going to be something that I'm hoping to put on stage in front of people. So what do you think?
Yeah, I love it. I love the dynamics behind it. I love the fact that it's, as you said before, okay, the Shakespeare is the shell, but the core, or even more than the body of the story, is very much, it seems, Nairobi. It's very much Kenyan. It's very tribal. It's very authentic. I was visualizing.
I don't know if I would call it tribal.
Well,
but
you
said it does have a tribal conflict at
that's what I mean.
If you say it's tribal, then you mean it sounds like it has picked a side, but no, it hasn't really picked. Shakespeare didn't pick a side.
No,
they just both die.
Yeah. I didn't mean it that way either, but I meant that there are sort of tribal elements to it from that view. But I think I'm just trying to. I was visualizing it as you were telling the story, and I love the fact that you throw in these the sort of modern elements as well. So the mobile phone, the Instagram, the considerations of a girl and how she would present a potential suitor to her parents. And I think it's a fantastic. So I hope you have some video recording of the show as well, which people might be able to watch on YouTube.
I intend. Actually, that's something else I wanted to talk about, because like I said, it's going to be a multimedia offering. And by multimedia, I mean I intend to present it on multiple media formats. I'm going to perform the narration on stage. This narration on stage will include theatrical elements, so I will include musical elements, but eventually, when I'm done, I'm also going to create out of all of these things some kind of a film.
Fantastic.
So at the very end of everything, I will have some kind of a film that will be Omera and Juliet, as adapted by myself in the good year of our Lord 2024. But yes, it's I don't know, I guess I wanted to do something a little bit more ambitious with some of my ideas for storytelling and theater. So yeah, this is that thing artists do where they take a leap of faith. I'm also very curious to see how it turns out, because I honestly don't have any model I'm working from.
And very interestingly as well, so the next track alludes a little bit to the Nina Simone classic, and Nina Simone is one of my favorites. I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, whenever I heard this particular song of hers, I'd kind of switch all other activities off, and I would just allow myself to be taken.
So, you were telling me about Cinnamon.
Yeah.
It's there's different renditions of it as well. I feel like there's a certain part where the percussions feel very much like there's a certain trance-like percussion that a lot of churches do, a lot of in African indigenous churches, especially from Western Kenya, where I come from. They have this sort of drumming pattern that goes towards ecstasy. Cinnamon has a drumming pattern that could fit right into one of those church services. Girgara returns. Police Segolo statement. All eyes manya kaka Tupac Shakur. Imanya gima gang koda hitman. Ogul mama creep. Nicho giwang mageb. Batadak maraj. Poda kak malij. Achile od mad. Oda safe manage. Achwada drills. The Uda samagwe kick. Ajipin match pala. Kenda catch kakich. To this pinya bama koro lose control. Wololo pinya gonda me I lose my mind. Otamu utu siemo jomo dagi conform. Omiukelo consequence manoku intend. Last time Nuriemba kendo Nutera exile. This time I swear Jaberok believe my side. I'm a sinner moye richoma I've committed. Kangi mana muduaro. Come and shoot me dead. Oh cinnamon, where you gonna run? There's the cinnamon, look, he's got a gun. Well, cinnamon, where you gonna run? Oh, cinnamon, look what you done. Yeah. Uwinjesigana mar Romeo and Juliet. Kawan kod Zach. Embaka mar 2 under port. Embuika. Maendi my last will and testament. This love ibiro landi nyaka parliament. Jotelo makwe otamo are incompetent. Sigana mar herawani will be excellent. Nairobi mortuary, open your goddamn door. He said, Chamo my Juliet, Kora Kelo ni one more. But first, Adwa Romana one last kiss. And then, Okaluoro Katabunde gi police. Kwa machuom. NTB, Gitwalala, Kora Chich kod Kora Cham. Subaru ya Mambaru, Eroriembo inakam. Ase lemo chup, Abiro kono baby goodbye. Kama mbaya? Listen on live wire. Achom kure. Tosegik 11th hour. I won't stop. Nyakalaga give me power. Oh, cinnamon. Where you gonna run? There's the cinnamon. Look, he's got a gun. Oh, no, cinnamon. Where you gonna run? Oh, cinnamon, look at what you've done. You little dark ringo dala, baby to dark ni kubero mama, yawato and dark na teri dala, Julina dark na wapondola mu. Ooh, yeah, that's what's up.
Fantastic. Okay, so you're going to be acting on stage as well?
There'll be some, of course.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, of course. Okay, all right. Very good.
Of course, good. It's musicals are supposed to be seen on a stage, you know. So I do want to give an element of the traditional musical as well. But I'm definitely throwing in a lot of my own extra. Yeah, I always like to do things with a bit of a twist, I guess.
Okay, but I mean, there are going to be other actors, but you will also be acting yourself, or will these parts?
Yeah. Okay. Actually, my narration, I tell the story from the point of view of the main character, and that's Romeo.
Okay.
Or in this case, he's referred to by his nickname, Omera. That's how come the show is called Omera and Juliet.
Yeah.
Because it's Omera it's actually a very general name for like in my language, it's almost like saying youth.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a way in which you could interpret that the title of my adaptation as Youth and Juliet. Yeah, okay. It's something else just in the subtext.
And then you've got this other narrative that you wanted also, and perhaps this will be a place for us to conclude on. What stage in the story is this part from?
Originally, I wanted to do the death, the scene where they die together, which is actually the scene that is for which the song Cinnamon was written. But I think I've decided I want to be back. I think I want to take us back to these corridors of Nairobi that we can all recognize, and specifically, I think here I'm going to take us into a bit of the political context behind the story now that really puts it into a circumstance of Kenyan political behavior as well, because the quarrel between this family is also a quarrel that there's some political investment in it, you see? So these lovers, I felt like in Kenya, the tragedy that we suffer is a tragedy of bad leadership. And I wanted to tie our Kenyan tragedy of bad leadership to the tragedy of these lovers. So essentially, Juliet's dad is being pressured to offer her hand in marriage to the governor's son, who's just come back from studying in the West. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this is contingent on him actually getting a party ticket on which to run for a lower electoral seat in the neighborhood. It shows you that the hierarchy of oppression, the hierarchy of people taking advantage of each other, that ends up with two kids who have to die for attempting to fall in, for the crime of attempting to fall in love. So this scene happens at the Norfolk Hotel. The Norfolk Hotel is what I think of all Nairobi's hotels, it has the deepest connections to the colonialist. So I selected it because it had the heaviest connotations of the West in that respect. Yeah. So in this particular instance, the governor is having a chat with Juliet's dad. Now about the other matter, Bwana Njuguna, the boy has chosen your daughter, Juliet, ndio anataka kuoa. Is she engaged to marry anyone else? Mheshimiwa, she's just 20, but she has finished college. Alisoma nini ile? Bachelor Fine Arts in Music. 20 years iko tu sawa na mtu amemaliza college Njenga. You married Hilda when she was what? 17. And me, my Shiro, tuliiba mbio na yeye, I was 19 and she was 13 when we got my first son, the late Wycliffe. Mheshimiwa, my daughter is not easily told what to do. It will take some time. Election and your deadline. All these things must happen before election, Njenga. If your daughter will not listen, Fares will look elsewhere. I think I'll leave it there. So I'd say that's the ultimatum that's hanging over Juliet's dad's head. If he doesn't deliver his daughter, he doesn't get a party ticket, so he can't run for an electoral seat. And Juliet, on the other hand, is busy trying to figure out how to change her name to a Luo one. So I don't know. I would say for the Nairobian who wishes to come and watch and experience, because watching is not all you'll do. For the Nairobi person who wishes to come and experience Omera and Juliet, I think I've given you every tantalizing bait.
Yeah, definitely. But it also
all that's
shows...
left. All that's left is for you to swallow and get caught. Getting caught is buying a ticket.
Yeah. Absolutely. And hopefully we'll be able to, when you've kind of solidified the do you know the venue? Do you know when it's going to take place and so on? Or is this something which still needs to be planned?
This is something that is, I want a little anticipation to build here, but it's definitely within the next month or two.
Okay.
Actually, let me say month or two, because I'm trying to clean up the finances.
Sure.
The good thing about it is that I designed it to be light on preparation. I do the bulk of the heavy carrying for most of it, and I've been working on it for a couple of years. So whoever I cast will not really have that much of a hard time getting into the flow of things. So for now, I'd say that I want to keep that other side of things a bit under wraps, because mostly this for me is a labor of love, and it's been it's kind of been a very solitary journey. Only now at the end, as I start getting ready to share it, am I having to reach out and kind of widen the scope of the people who are taking different roles in it. Otherwise, the way mostly, I think on stage, mostly people will interact with me and whoever I will be performing with on stage, and I'll be keeping it limit. This first performance, I'll be keeping it minimal.
Okay.
Yes, so it'll have a minimal cast, and it'll be about the story and the theater of it and the drama. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So if there is a way for people to support you beforehand, please also send me any links that you may have.
Yes. Remember the coffee? I sent you my coffee link when I shared the latest song.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even specifically with this podcast as well, when you eventually release it,
I'm going to try to release it on
Wednesday.
I'm going to try to release it on Wednesday because you've given me this challenge now to do so. So I'm going to do my best.
Precisely. So I'm going to be sharing. Basically, I wanted this particular conversation to be the beginning of calling people to action. And for this last, I've already done the bulk of the work. For this last part, there are some people who are already supporting in one or two small ways. But on coffee, people will be able to support me to their heart's content. So I'll definitely be sharing that. And I'd say my social media as usual, at Film Kenya on Twitter, Alexander Ikawah on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. I don't think I'm prominent on any other social media other than those ones.
Okay. All right. I'll put your links up again in the show notes.
Absolutely.
And I will share the Ko-fi link as well. And hopefully we can generate some support for you in anticipation of your theatrical presentation for this.
That would be lovely, and it would allow me to do romantic justice to a romantic story as a romantic Luo.
As you said, you are under pressure as a romantic Luo, so therefore,
yes,
that's the way it is.
Absolutely,
fantastic. Alexander, I'm very grateful. I love the fact that you came to me with this little challenge as well. And I will do my best. Obviously, I'm not a genius when it comes to editing, but I'll do my best. And hopefully it will be in a situation which people can appreciate the talent and the work that you put into it. So I'll do my best.
Thank you very much. With art, I guess, like I said, it's always a leap into the unknown. And sometimes you hit a rock. Sometimes it's a very warm welcome that you receive from people who love and support and appreciate the art. And I can only hope for the latter, but even the former is educative. And over time, I have learned to face these kinds of artistic challenges with equanimity. And that's what I would wish even for other artists, the equanimity to try.
And mic.